Braveheart Workshops, inspiring connection. Restore. Dream. Getaway Experiences. Love, live, and laugh. With Braveheart Workshops. Live now with Jill Reynolds.
The Connection Show. Restore, renew, and reconnecting community. Sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is Eddie Garrison. Welcome to the show, Eddie.
Thank you so much for having me, Jill.
Well, it's just a privilege to have you. I've seen you so much on social media
Ooh.
and have been really fascinated by you and wanted the audience to get to know you. So I'd love to begin, Eddie, by sharing a little bit about who you are. Eddie Garrison helps brands grow their digital presence by utilizing the power of social media with real-world strategy, design, and results. Consistent, strategic, quality content are the core values of his digital marketing strategy. He helps brands understand the value of how to develop a successful digital media presence. With over 15 years of experience in sales and marketing, Eddie is well versed in complete project management, from conceptualization, testing, and implementation of final projects. He is adept at directing project launches with outstanding presentation, instructional customer service, and communication skills. Eddie brings extensive experience in social media marketing across many different platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and live streaming, while also bringing a diverse background in technical and content writing with a strong background in graphic designs and multimedia technologies. So you are the man, Eddie, that we need to make our businesses grow.
You know what that just sounds like I'm like a WWF, or I'm sorry, back when I was a WWF fan, a World Wrestling Entertainment. Man, that was a heck of an intro, and if I hadn't have written it, I would have known exactly nothing of what you were talking about.
Well, to me, you're a genius, because we need people like you in the world, Eddie. And what I'd love the audience to know, tell us first off, where do you live?
I live in Orlando, Florida.
Ooh, so you're staying warm these days, huh?
I am. Yeah, it's a warm and toasty right now at about 60 degrees.
Well, we won't get political, but at least you're in a state that you can enjoy a little bit of life.
A little bit would be an understatement. So
yes, you can still enjoy life, you know. And I live in Branson, Missouri, and we are enjoying life here in the Ozark Mountains. It's beautiful here, and we still have fun. We go to restaurants and we still go to shows and enjoy life. So
as we do here in Florida.
Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. So take us on that journey of little Eddie. I always like that. I'm one of those talk show hosts, Eddie, that loves to connect dots. So I always say, take me back to little Eddie days of what you were like growing up and what led you into this career path.
Little Eddie has not been little in a while. I can tell you that right now. One of my grandfather, I love him to death. He has long since passed away, but he used to call me Big Man, which is funny because Little Eddie makes more sense. But so Little Eddie, as it were, I grew up in Florida. So, it was, going to the beach every day. I didn't realize how awesome that I had it, right? So everybody's like, oh, we want to go vacation to where the sugar white beaches are and the blue and the green waves are. I was like, well, heck, I live here. That's like my back door. So let's fast forward to what we're honestly trying to talk about here, and it's business. And so my parents actually started a company when I was probably in junior high. Yeah, junior high. And they actually collected bad checks. That's what they did. They were collection agents. That's what they were, right? So all the spam that you get now is like, hey, you owe this on, but they actually did it legit. Like, you wrote a bad check to Papa John's or Pizza Hut or whatever, and they would not come to collect you, but they would collect these bad debts. And my parents were like, well, why should we limit it to we have to call these people? Why can't we develop a software that generates who we have to call, when do we have to call them, and when do we need to call them? And so they actually developed this technology to learn how to do that. So my parents were kind of like the pioneers of algorithm, if you were, to people writing bad checks. And they kind of progressed into this. So my family said, well, this is not what we want to do. This is kind of limiting. So they're like, why not? Why don't we do this? And they said, let's check this out. Let's develop a technology that enables businesses to not take bad checks before they take them. So my parents, I'm not patting myself on the back or naming any names, but my parents were actually some of the early developers of this bad check database, which is, I get it, it's another algorithm, but they wrote a computer program that says, listen, if somebody calls up Papa John's, Domino's, Pizza Hut and says, okay, I want to pay for my pizza with a check, they would put their route and account number in there. And if you already had a bad check, guess what?
It would spit it out and tell you, don't take this check.
Exactly. They would not take that check.
Boy, the small business owners had to have loved this.
And they did.
Oh.
And they did.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny that you say that, Eddie. Thanks for sharing that beginning, and we'll come back to it. My stepson actually went to college, believe it or not, in Miami, Florida, on a full rights music scholarship. He
Nice.
playing horn in the marching band, and so. Yeah, and so when he got out of college, he moved to Nashville and he worked for some Christian artists in Nashville. Music City. And actually one of the artists he worked for, she went gold and she was only 17, and the labels thought my stepson was too young to be her manager, so he got fired. And he was parking cars for a living. And along came this guy and said, are you so-and-so? And he said, yeah. And he said, I know you from college. He goes, I'm so-and-so, and I'm the vice president of information technology at Universal Music. Would you come to work for me? So my stepson knew nothing about technology, but he knew music. So he went to work, and the guy groomed him, Eddie, and taught him all about project management. Well, my stepson went on to be one of the developers of the software program for iTunes so that the artists could get paid royalties. And the musicians loved him.
I bet they did.
Just like your parents, the small business owners loved them because they got money. They got money that went through. Wow, that's great. So go on. Yeah.
Contingency is a great thing. Contingency is a great thing.
Yes. And
I don't know if they call it contingency anymore, but I mean, just look at like Jennifer Aniston and Matt LeBlanc. They were obviously famous for Friends. Well, Friends hasn't been on in 25 years, but I would guarantee you they still get royalty checks from that.
Exactly. Nothing's like those royalty checks, especially when people don't buy albums like we bought albums or CDs anymore. And used to be little
cassettes.
Cassettes. Thank you. My brain went dead. So we went from albums to cassettes to CDs, and now downloads. And if they didn't have this program for the royalties, these musicians would not get their money. So
you're exactly right.
Great program. He had an award in Los Angeles, and boy, he just went on to fame and glory as far as being an IT and project manager. And here it was, all he did was play horn in a marching band, and the rest was history.
No, it really isn't. I mean, it is, but it's an idea, right? I mean, you look at people like that we all hold in high regard now, however you want to look at it. Bill Gates wasn't really a great programmer, but he surrounded himself with better programmers, and perhaps he pirated software. He might have, but but he did.
Perhaps he did other things that we don't really like right now.
Yeah.
Vaccine, but but you know what? It's the pioneering. So your parents were pioneers of this unbelievable cost control
They were.
for small business owners. So
They really were. I mean, and you know what they did? They solved the problem. And it doesn't matter if it's 1988. It doesn't matter if it's 1998. It doesn't matter if it's 2018 or 2088. Small businesses will always have a problem that people need to solve. So if you, as a brand or as somebody that is coming up and wants to be an entrepreneur, you need to learn that fact and go, guess what? This particular business has this particular problem. I can solve that problem and learn how to present it to them in a way that says, listen, I know you have this problem. I know how to solve it. Here is how I'm going to solve it. And this is what I'm going to charge you to do it.
and the beauty is, because as I was reading your bio that I love, and what
Thank you.
what your parents did, I assume, is they had phenomenal, and this aligns with me, customer service skills.
Yes.
You could have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the customer service love, it's all not. And I say that it's all not because I started one of my first sales jobs. I've had so many different ones, but one of my first sales jobs was I did radio, and then I did air freight and truck freight shipping. And I remember in one era there in the 80s when companies were going bankrupt, it was like it was almost as though I knew what the state of the economy was, because selling air freight, your shipping is your first line to know how the economy is if products and services are being transported across the continental world, the United States and overseas, you know the economy is going good. If all products come to a halt, you know we're in trouble. So I was selling, and goods were slowing down, and every fifth company had out of business signs. And so the companies that were shipping with me, I had developed such a phenomenal relationship with them with customer care that I remember one of them is this was in the 80s, Eddie, and I can remember the company, and it doesn't matter because they're out of business. It was called Infratext. And I still remember the company. I still remember the street it was on.
Yeah.
And they owed our company, I want to say like something like $10,000 in shipping because they got billed monthly.
Which is a lot of money.
Yeah, in the 80s, sure, because they shipped a lot with me. It was one of my biggest clients.
I'd take it now.
Right. And you know what they did? Because they had a relationship with me and they knew they were filing bankruptcy and closing doors, they set aside a specific amount of money. They knew they were going to be open for about 2 months. They set aside a specific amount of their income that was still coming in to pay down the 10,000, and they paid us off as a vendor, one of the first ones, in a thanks to me for giving them good customer care. Now they could have just, they were writing everything off. They could have said, and I didn't even own the company.
Right.
So, I just was their customer service rep, but because of me and what I offered, they made sure they paid it back. And I say that too because of what your mother and father did, to save these small business owners lots of losses for bounce checks that they could not get their money.
There is no such thing as a small business. Mm-hmm. Even Senior Walmart started as a small business, in Mena, Arkansas, or not Mena, but somewhere in
Harrison,
Arkansas.
I think it's Harrison, but I don't know. Yeah,
somewhere in Arkansas. And honestly, it's Arkansas because how do you say Kansas and not Arkansas? I'm sorry, but I digress. The biggest thing that I see that brands don't understand is that they buy from an individual and not the brand. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter if your son or your daughter wants the newest Nike or, Adidas or Puma sneakers. They're not buying from Nike. They're not buying from Adidas or Puma. You know who they're buying from? Is the person that you walk into that store and you meet. I can buy Nike shoes on Amazon. Boom, done, right? Over. But if I'm a parent and I have a small child and so let's just say that my son is growing up or my daughter's growing up. Maybe they were a 4 in summer, but they're going to be a 5 in winter. Amazon doesn't know that, right? And don't get me wrong, I order a lot of products off Amazon. We still buy from individuals, not the brand. No one wakes up every morning and goes, you know what? I hope Nike takes my money. No one says that. Well, I mean, with any realm of rationale thinking. No, we want to know that, guess what? Jill posted on Facebook that her daughter or son goes, hey, listen, we were down at Galleria Mall, and I'm making this up at this point, and Mary at Galleria Mall fitted my son or daughter to this shoe because they knew exactly what I was talking about.
And
there was a lot to be said for that.
And do you know what makes the most sense? And most people miss this, but I'm guessing you know this because I can tell by speaking with you. The number one thing that's missing in most people's branding and marketing is they fail to do a needs assessment with the client.
Yes.
They start selling before they know the client's needs. And I had one of the best sales managers ever when I was in the freight business. This woman was making in her late 30s and 40s, Eddie, she was making $350,000 a year straight commission. And she taught me, and this was her line, Eddie, and I'll give it to you because it's the best line ever. She would call up somebody about copy because then we went into was freight. We were still freight. And she would get on the phone and talk to a traffic manager and say, Eddie, this is so and so. And I was wondering if I could book an appointment with you. I'm going to be in the area next Tuesday and Thursday. And the purpose of my visit is I'd love to do a needs assessment, Eddie, and learn what some of your transportation needs might be so that as they arise in the future, if you have a need I can meet, I'll be there to assist you. Boom. She never said, I want you to tell me about how many shipments a month do you do, what's the class of the freight, all the typical questions a freight salespeople would ask to qualify, never would say a word. And I followed suit, and I had a 98% closing ratio of getting the appointment, because you never close for the sale of the goods. You close for the sale of the appointment. Because you have to build a relationship. It takes 3 to 5 to 7 touches before they say yes. And people are forgetting that because they don't want to take the time it takes to establish a relationship.
I cannot fully agree with you more, Jill. And I'm going to give you a saying that I look at that someone taught me years ago. And I honestly, if I remembered who it was, I would actually quote them. I do not. But this is the quote that I try to live by. Not live by, but, when we're talking about selling. No one wants to be sold, but people are willing to buy. And if you are a marketer and if you're a brand, if you can actually understand that, then you are going to kill your competitors when it comes to marketing.
So tell me how you kill those competitors. I want to hear, because I want to know about you, Eddie, killing those competitors, because you are like rocking out there. I mean, Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it takes like a few months to even get in with you right now because you're so booked. Maybe I'm wrong. But I remember a while back I needed you to do an OBS video for me, and you said, I can do it in about 6 months. And I'm like, what?
Yes, yeah, and you know what? You flatter me, and that will get you everywhere, Jill. Yeah. So honestly, well, 6 months ago, I was, speaking on stages, and it was this, that, and the other, and then I won't call it anything, but
That dreaded C word.
yes, yeah. However you want to judge that C word hit, but I have other ventures, I have other companies, but yeah, I digress. Back to this. So the biggest thing that I think that businesses get incorrect is they look, and I'm speaking more specifically to digital media and social media, because that's what I do, right? So for those that don't know, I own a digital media company. We do social media management, digital marketing, video production, things of that nature. One of the things, and I can speak to this with the dreaded C word involved, is the first thing that gets cut is the marketing department, which is the last thing that should actually get cut when it comes to business. Because guess what? You no longer are doing business. You are closed because the government or whatever said that you cannot actually function and do your business. But guess who suffers? You do. And more specifically, the people that love you do. So I'm more looking at the local businesses. So the last thing that they should cut is marketing, because guess what? If you cut your marketing on social media or whatever, there is no digital presence. People are still going to Facebook. People are still going to Instagram. People are still going to Google.
And more now than ever, because they're sitting in front of their computer 12 hours a day. So your visibility is gone. All of a sudden, your visibility is gone.
Exactly. So the marketing department is the last thing that you should cut. And I can give you a case study on my own customers. And I obviously I cannot name names, but I worked with very many local restaurants, brick and mortar locations here in the greater Orlando area. They had to shut down because everybody had to. But I looked at them and I said, listen, brand A, let's do this. Let's cut a deal. I said, I'll tell you this. I charge you this amount a month. I'm going to charge you half. But I'm still going to post.
I love what you're saying, and I'm sorry I'm interrupting, because there's a local guy here in Branson. Love him. That's exactly what he did, what you're saying. He was doing because all we in Branson, and very similar to Orlando, we are all tourism here. Mm-hmm. When tourism is gone, we have nothing. Here we have no business we have no industry at all, Eddie. So he was doing a lot of the restaurants, hotels, the shows, marketing for them for social media, and they had no money coming in. So how do you output money when you don't have anything coming in? So I don't know his was a lot, probably different than you, because he was right out of college. So he didn't have a lot of expenditures yet. So he just cut a deal and said, hey, listen, I'll continue doing your marketing. And I think he even said, if I can, because he took a job like at Home Depot to keep himself alive, I'll do your marketing for free. And then when he had to, but because these people were dying though, Eddie, and he said, and when you start in, can we sign an agreement that you'll give me a certain percentage to make up for the difference? And he just had to do something to keep him afloat, because these people here, we're in a different realm than you, Eddie. These people here, we're in the Bible Belt, and these people make like $12 an hour. They're not making huge amounts, but go back, because again, what people don't understand, marketing budgets get cut, and you're sitting there going, what do I do now, and how do I stay visible? So go back to you now, what you had to do to help them, but also keep your business afloat as well.
Well, what the problem is, and I'm just going to piggyback off what you said, what the problem is that they think the first thing that they have to cut is marketing. Well, we're not open, so we don't have to market. And that's the last thing that they should cut, because when people stay at home and they don't have to go to work, I mean, go to work, what do they turn to? They turn to their digital devices, right? They go on Facebook, they go on Twitter, they go on Instagram. So if you're a business, a small business and a local business, basically, and you don't have a presence there, why would they know about you when you reopen? They won't, because you are gone. You are gone to them. You're not top of mind to them. So if you're not staying top of mind to them, at that point, you're already out of business. That's what it is.
Well,
So
especially for you being in the Orlando, Florida area, because with businesses still being open and restaurants being open, because you're still open, I know you are, and we are
well,
too.
now we are. Now we
Yeah.
are. I mean, we shut down like everyone else, but
But
not.
you're open enough that people can still, like in Branson, we can go out to dinner, we can go to shows, but instead of the shows, like a 1,600 seat theater, they can sell 500 seats every other row.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, so they can still stay open at half the capacity. And this is what I'm assuming, so I'd love to hear from you on this, is people will still post on social media here in Branson, on Facebook groups called Branson Buzz, Branson Talk, and the tourists coming in will say, "Where's the best place to have dinner? What shows should I go to?" And they want to know. And so if those shows and restaurants are still not branding, the tourists that are coming to town don't know where to go.
Yes, and it would be, I can't draw a comparison to Orlando, obviously, because we are the most visited city on the planet, because of Disney World, Universal, SeaWorld. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter what the world does. Honestly, I hate to say it like that, but Disney is going to be Disney because they are Disney, and Orlando goes as Disney does. However, I work with brands here, obviously in the local area, that are highly attuned to what Disney and Universal does, and they kind of are the benchmark. So yes, I mean, to your point, if these brands do not have that presence, even when we were shut down, how are people to know that they're reopened when they visit here? And that's what I offered my brands. I said, listen, whatever whatever you've been paying, for the benefit of numerics, $100, right? I said, I'll tell you what, you're usually paying $100. I will charge you 50 while you're closed, and I will produce the same amount of content that I was for $100, just to keep you in the tops of minds in the digital media realm. And I cannot tell you, Joe, how many of my customers actually wrote me handwritten letters, not emails, not text messages, handwritten letters that said, thank you so much. One in particular that I will not even say, but I will pat myself on the back here, that goes, if you had not have done that, we would have gone out of business.
Yep.
So marketing isn't the first thing that should be cut. Not just because I own a digital marketing company. That's regardless of the point. That's the last thing that should be cut. Because it doesn't matter if it's an epidemic, a pandemic, or whatever kind of demic you want to label it. If people don't know about you during that time and you staying top of mind of them, they won't come back to you when it's over, because you're a memory. That's all you are. You're a memory.
So with all the kindness that you've put out, because I always believe that what we give to the world comes back to us in multitudes. So in your generosity of helping those right now in this really difficult time, because trust me, I had to cancel all of my events except for one this entire year. I had at least 5 events on my books. And in January, I had rebranded, Eddie, my entire business. I was full force. I was signing contracts left and right because I have an event planning business. And so I was all excited. I was going to go to Aruba. I was going to go to the Dominican Republic. I wanted to do a Greece trip. I had some Branson ones.
Can I get on that mailing list?
Yeah, you're going to come. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to do a barter so we can do an event together, and I'll give you all your trips for free. You're gonna and get paid too. Once these borders open, this is one of my places right here, Eddie. It's a villa. I fortunately met this amazing man from Canada who's a contractor, and he built three amazing homes in Aruba. But he built these three villas side by side, Eddie. And each villa are 3 stories with 6 bedrooms, 6 private baths, living room, dining room, and then you walk out the patio, and this is the actual pool. And then you go down 3 steps, and this is the private beach. My husband and I went there for his birthday in November last year. Literally, literally we could walk outside nude and nobody would see us because it was so desert. I loved it. Like you love Orlando and the beach. I love the beach, the swimming pool, the ocean, and nobody else. I love that. But what I love, because I'm an extrovert, but then I like to socialize. So what I did, you'll laugh. So we then stayed here, but we went to see the man's other properties. So we went to this property, you're going to love the story, where these 14 Canadians were staying, aged 23 to 45, and they let us see the man's other house. They were staying there. They liked me and my husband so much they invited us to a fish fry the next night. So here he's 77, I'm 66. We're hanging out with these 20 and 30-year-olds partying. They
Yeah.
liked us so much that we did dinners with them that whole week. So when I want to be alone, I like this. But then when I want to have a good time, I want to be around 20 and 30-year-olds and have a good time and let loose. And I don't even drink, but I love to have a good time. So so anyway, so taking us on these trips and doing these things, what I'd like to know is what do you need from people right now? Like how could people bless you in these difficult times after you've blessed them? What are some of your needs?
Truth be told, I honestly want people to learn from what I am trying to give them. And I'm not trying to milk money out of you. I truth be told, I don't even care about that. If I can help you, if my Facebook group, if my website can help you in any way, that's what I wanted to do. Yes, there is a pay function there. I get it. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I want to make money just like anybody else does, right? But I also have a business, right? So my business makes money. I'm not yes, I am concerned about that, but I'm not overly concerned about that, if you know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
I when I was in college, I actually fashioned myself as wanting to be a teacher. I wanted to be a professor and I wanted to teach people how to do graphic design because that's what I went to college to do. I wanted to teach people how to do graphic design. But it actually stemmed a little bit away from that, where I actually just wanted to teach people on a real level of what opening their own business is about. Because you get all you get and pardon my language here, you get all these jackasses on Twitter and YouTube, sorry, that say, oh, this is all you have to do to open a business. That's incorrect. That's not. They're like, oh, just go down and get your business license. That's what you need to do. That's not right. That is incorrect information. And what I sought out after to do was to actually tell people, if you actually want to start a business, these are the steps. And I mean more digital marketing kind of businesses, not just business in general. But I just wanted to eliminate this misinformation that was out there for free. That's all I wanted to do.
So if somebody wanted today listening to you and they want to, there's so many people right now that are really needing to reinvent themselves because of the loss of jobs. So with people wanting now to be empowered and start their own business, um, when I show your thing at the end here, show your bio at the end for them to reach out to you, do you have that ability then to consult with them, do a needs assessment, and give them direction of how to start their business, like an ABCs on it? And can people hire you to consult with them and coach them on how to start a good branded business? Do you do that kind of work?
Can I go no, but yes, but no?
Okay.
So, one of my big objectives And it wasn't a goal, but it actually turned into a goal. In 2020 was that, and obviously everything got pushed aside. But so I would say yes, because that's one of my main objectives in 2021, in the first quarter of 2021, is to honestly give anybody out there. It doesn't matter if you want to be a creative entrepreneur or not. You could be able to start a fashion industry off this. You could be able to start whatever industry there is. But I believe that people are getting misinformation from quote unquote influencers or YouTubers or whatever. And I'm not knocking these people. Do not get me wrong. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say anything, but I believe that a lot of these people, oh, well, just start your own business. It only costs you $50 to go down there and get this business license. That is not starting a business.
Mm-mm.
That is just a tax receipt in your county. That's all that is. You are not a business at that point. So yes, to answer your question, Jill,
Okay.
I
So
am
what
in
I'd
the
like,
process.
so what I'd really like to do then towards the end here is let people know how to reach out to you, Eddie, because I just think that you have so many wise things, being brought up by some very influential entrepreneur parents that really taught you the skills of listening and hearing people's needs. I think that you could be a real asset in 2021 to some of these people who really need direction. And there's so many people that they say that and please, people out there, I'm not putting you down if this is your title, but so many people use their terminology that they're all life coaches. Everyone, I mean, you guys, I mean, I can say I'm a life coach. I've got 39 years of recovery from crack cocaine and alcoholism and eating disorders and sexual abuse and post traumatic stress. I mean, I could life coach you on 50 million directions, but I am not a life coach. But I am a really smart person who's resilient and can walk you through the paths of healing like you've never seen before. um, but we're not all life coaches, and everyone is not a business owner. Just because you want to be a business owner, you need instruction so that you don't spend your money foolishly and you've got $50,000 of credit card debt that people talked you into signing up for all their classes to empower you, and you're not empowered. You're financially in debt, right?
100%. And if I can just leave your listeners with one bit of information, if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Hmm.
I mean, that's all I can say. And also, when you go to start your business and you're going to go through QuickBooks or whoever you're going to go through, these online places. And I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing, right? I went through these legal corporations, online, and I'm not going to name names because they weren't bad to me, but they also weren't good to me. But I will leave you with this. When you go to get your EIN number, and if someone wants to charge you for it, do not pay it because the IRS gives it to you for free.
Yeah.
That is the one bit of information I will give you right now at the end of this podcast is your EIN number is 100% free through the Internal Revenue Service.
And guess why? They want your money.
You darn right they do. So
They want those
do
taxes.
do not pay Zoom.com. Not I choked up with the first bit, but if anyone ever says that you have to pay them for an EIN number, run away.
Yeah.
Run away as fast as you can because they all are about your money, not about helping you as a business.
Well, let's shift here just for a moment. And I'd love to shift because at the beginning of my show, I always say that the connection show is about restoring, renewing, and reconnecting in community. And the word restore I'm one of those people, I always have to make sure I say things correct. So I look up definitions. The definition of restore is to bring back to a previous situation and reinstate. So for 2021, what would you love to restore?
personally or professionally?
Anything you want to say, it's your choice.
If I were to restore anything in 2021, it would, and perhaps this resonates with many of your listeners, it would be connections that have either severed on my own accord or connections that were severed on someone else's accord.
Mhm.
If 2020 has taught us anything, it is that the unexpected should be expected and that connections should not be taken lightly. So if you had a friend or just an acquaintance that you had an argument with over something nonsensical,
Like politics.
reach out to them.
Yeah.
Reach out. That was just stupid because we, and I know you don't drink, but let's just say that we had a glass of wine and it shouldn't have been about that. So I believe that everyone should rekindle those relationships that perhaps have gone astray because of something stupid.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a break on that because we have restore, renew, and reconnecting community. So I'm going to say that that one was reconnecting in community, but also has a restoration to it. So I'm going to then take you and make you do one more. So we'll use that one for reconnecting community as well. And
Okay.
then let's use restore in your business, bringing back to previous situation and reinstate in 2021.
All right. So restoring and reinstating things back in 2021. So what you need to do as a business owner is you started your business because you had a passion for something. You had a passion for making the best pizza in your community. You had the passion for creating the best quilting in your community. So what you need to do to rejuvenate your business in 2021 is get back to those roots. You did it for a reason. You didn't do it to make money. Yes, money is a great side effect of that, if you will. And yes, it's become a business and you've been thriving. But guess what? 2020 happened and you didn't have that business anymore. You know why? Because you forgot your passion. Not that real necessarily that you forgot your passion, but it became a business. It became an X's and O thing. It became a black and white thing. And I don't mean black and white racially. I mean black and white is
Yeah.
ledger wise.
Instead of grays, looking at the
Yes.
grays. Yep.
It became a X's and O's. How about that? Sorry, black and white was not what I should
Yeah.
have said.
I'm not politically correct.
Exactly. So
But
what you
I
need to do.
but I'm gonna make you pause for 1 month because I'm a tough interviewer. You'll get to know me. I'm
I'm
really
good.
friendly, but I'm a tough interviewer.
I'm good.
You're great at showing and helping people know what they need to do. I'm gonna take your finger and point it inward. What do you need to do personally in your own business to bring back and reinstate for you? Personalize
Personally,
it. I like
yeah,
personalization.
yeah, no problem. Because I already actually started to do this. I need to learn to be less selfish, and not in the terms that you think it of it is like Eddie needs to be less selfish. No, 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 no. I mean in my business as well. So when one of my customers comes to me and goes, "Hey, we were thinking about doing this," and I automatically think like, no, that's just crap. I need to learn to go that, well, this is their business and perhaps they know what's best for their business. So instead of looking at what I need personally for my business to grow, just to say that, I did this and I did that, I need to learn to be less selfish in that aspect.
Well, that's a wonderful point, and I for one would absolutely love to off screen share with you my needs assessment I put together, and I used it for every company, and it is amazing. So, and that helps you stay right on target with what their needs are versus your needs. So that's a great point, Eddie. Renew. Renew means what you will resume after an interruption. So, in your own personal life and/or business life, what do you want to resume after this interruption of 2020?
That's actually the most difficult question that you actually asked me, because my business actually grew in 2020
Hmm.
because of what occurred. So my response to that would almost be that I am looking at why the businesses that I represent with social media management or whatever grew through this pandemic, however you want to call it, and take those lessons that I learned, and I actually try to teach those lessons that I learned to go, well, most people would cut marketing first. That's the last thing that you need to cut, because you need to stay top of mind, especially if you can't go anywhere, if you can't do anything, if you can't see anything, if you can't eat anything, if you can't drink anything, and just try to self-educate. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from 2020 is everyone wants to make this year out to be a total wash, and I believe that's an incorrect statement.
I agree with you 100%. And in just getting to know you, Eddie, and I really do listen as I interview as when and remember what people say. And one of the things at the beginning you said that I picked up on, and so when I asked you the question, I wondered if you would say it, is I would say, in retrospect, to renew going back on stage and sharing story and teaching on stage and after this interruption. And the other thing that hit me, Eddie, about you is renewing that phenomenal ability that your parents again gave you for algorithm analytics. And
Yes.
algorithm analytics for yourself would be phenomenal to be able to put together on your pie chart or your Excel spreadsheet or whatever you utilize as tools of what created this increase in business, and how can I see that algorithm and graph keep going upward in 2021 after this, like you said, people really business increased, and so now all of a sudden if businesses were to go back full force and maybe pull back a bit because now they're going full force, how could you keep this upward momentum going? So that's just something that as you spoke, I picked up on those two things.
And no, you hit a very difficult point, actually, Jill, is that let's take live streaming, for example, right? Live streaming hit an all-time peak, right? Because we were all forced to work from home. Everyone used to think that it was just a luxury to work from home. I worked from home for about 10 years. So, it is what it is for me. But a lot of people always looked at me and go, oh, it must be nice to work from home. And then they actually were forced to do it. And then they couldn't comprehend what it actually took to do it. The biggest thing I think that a lot of people are missing from 2021, and the biggest takeaway, or I'm sorry, 2020, moving into 2021, is they need to take into consideration exactly how their audience feels as they feel, right? So you as a business owner were out of business. The government said you cannot be in business, which means your audience, your consumers, didn't go to work.
Mm-hmm.
They were out of business. So they made no money. You made no money. They made no money. How can you as a brand, it doesn't matter if you're Nike, it doesn't matter if you're Jill Reynolds, it doesn't matter if you're the local pizza shop down the street. How can you take that and go, well, I'm still a business and I have to operate? Well, guess what? The people that came in there and sat at your restaurant and at your bar or whatever, they can't do that anymore because they didn't get to go to their job and earn money to come to your place and spend money. I detest the term humanization. I do, because if you weren't already humanizing your brand, you're already 10 years behind the curve. So I think what most brands need to take from 2020 is that, yes, everybody has a story. Everybody has money or a lack thereof, or everybody has a, I don't even know how to quantify this. It's very difficult for me because I see people, I see friends that have businesses going out of business. I see friends that struggle to pay rent. I see friends that struggle to pay mortgage because of this pandemic. Or and and again, I get back to, I detest humanization, but people don't understand that people do not buy from a brand. They buy
from
from
a
an
person.
individual.
Yeah.
They buy from an individual, regardless if they go to a Nike store, or a Pizza Hut or whatever. They go in there because Jill serves them, not that Nike serves them. If you go into a restaurant that you live in a town, so you live in Aurora, Illinois. I don't even know why I brought that town up. I have no idea. But you go in there, you don't go into that restaurant because it's, Jill's Pizza. You go in there because Sam serves you.
Well, it's like today. I'll give you an example. I went to see my chiropractor today, and my most favorite pizza restaurant here in Branson, and I'll plug them because I love them, is
Do
Rocco's
it.
Pizza. And they make the best pizza in Italian food because they grow in their own yard, their own tomatoes and their own herbs. It's so fresh. And, it's a little bitty trailer, Eddie, and they got 5-star reviews. And so I'm driving back from my chiropractor, and I just said, I got to stop at Rocco's. I haven't been there in 2 months, and they need my business. They need me. They need me, and
Yes, they
I
do.
and I love their food. So I stopped in again, pick up at the window, and I just told the owners, I said, I missed you guys, and I said, I had to come in and give you some money today, and I said, and I just want to let you know that every time people post on Branson Talk or Branson Buzz, where should we go to eat? I said, I always say eat at Rocco's because I
That's
love
right.
you guys. And that's branding. I mean, that is, you got to have people that are going to be in your yard cheering for you in the hard times. And I mean, Eddie, I was on a call with this women's networking the other day, and their question was, what are some of your successes and challenges from this year? And I said, some of my successes this year, and I think everyone on the call probably almost were ready to drop because when I said what I said, you'll be blown away. I said some of my successes this year was losing my sister and my dad 2 days apart. My sister at 68 died of pancreatic cancer she only had for 12 weeks. And we found out on her 68th birthday. And she's in California dying of pancreatic cancer. And my beloved father of 94 is taken to the hospital with some kind of a virus to his brain that was not corona. He dies 2 days after my sister, to find him dead at 9 in the morning on the third floor of the hospital. And at 5 o'clock, I couldn't breathe, and I was on the fifth floor, admitted for 5 days with corona. And I had a pulmonary embolism last year. So here my lungs are filling with corona. And then my husband got it, my stepmom got it. And so I shared that that was my success for the year. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, it was a success that I had time in the midst of my corona to be able to sit in my room and I social distance. I couldn't see anyone and just sit there and cry and grieve the loss of my two closest people, my sister and my dad. And I said, and then go back to the hotel that I had to sit in for 4 weeks waiting for the funeral and social distancing, just to lay on my bed and bawl my eyes out and that was a success because it filled my soul and
Yep.
regenerated me with life and the preciousness, how dear and precious our loved ones are, like you said. And so, do we have to sit here at 2020 and say this was the worst year ever? No,
No.
no, absolutely not. Do I miss my dad and my sister? Yeah. But you know what? I'm here. I'm still here. We got my stepmom living with us. We're loving on her. And, we're just doing the best we can, Eddie. And so, to lighten the load, let's say if someone asked you today that you had to get rid of all your apps on your cell phone and you're a social media guru, what 2 apps do you have to have? You must keep. You only get 2.
Give me a second. Sorry. Because I have to look at it from a professional standpoint and a personal standpoint. Damn. Sorry to swear. I can only keep 2.
Yep, that's it. Everything else is being taken away by the aliens in outer space.
Twitter and YouTube.
Okay. What is one fun fact about Eddie?
I once was a professional hockey player.
Woo! Professional meaning like
Not
uh,
NHL,
okay.
but I got paid money to play a sport.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, my son lives in St. Louis and he got to go to a Stanley Cup party with Stanley. He got to eat the ice cream out of the Stanley Cup because he's
He
friends.
touched it.
Oh yeah, he was at the Stanley Cup party in a backyard.
Tell him that's a very massive faux pas.
I mean, because he's really good friends with a lot of the blues.
I will say this, and I'm not knocking your son, but those that don't win it do not touch it.
They did have ice cream out of it. I saw the pictures of them eating ice cream out of it. I think it was a manager's party. I'm going to show your bio now to the screen. It's being put on the screen, and Eddie's website is on there. So we will post this on his YouTube video here when I put this on the YouTube channel, so you'll be able to get that. Yep. And Eddie, you are a gem. I am so glad that you and I had the privilege of God bringing us together in the universe with social media, because
Thank you so much, Jill, for having me on.
Yeah, you're an amazing man, and I wish you nothing but blessings in 2021. And I know when this is all over and done, we will do an event together. We will find that place that you want to go to. You pick it, and I will manifest it for you, and I will create it, and I will promote it with you, and we'll make it happen.
I'm just at everybody else's events. That's what I like to do.
Well, see, I can make it happen anyway. By the way, just so everyone knows, before I go off, I should talk about my own. I became a best-selling author on Tuesday. Woo! We made bestseller in 5 countries, on Amazon, and our book is called Fiercely Faithful. And we have a Fiercely Faithful conference coming to Branson, Missouri, the weekend of February 5th through 7th, where the 14 authors in this amazing book will be there to speak and share their story about how God has fiercely and faithfully brought them out of the fires without even smelling like smoke. And so come and hear their stories. They're amazing people, men and women, and we just hope you can join us. So, yeah, I'm just really excited, Eddie. It's my first time. I've been told for years to write something. I just wrote a chapter, so it was enough to get me started, and now I'm
Awesome.
like ready to go.
Thank you so much for having me on.
I love you, Eddie. Thanks a lot, everyone, and you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining the Connection Show. Bye now. Thanks for joining us on the Connection Show. Let's connect now. We can dream together to renew, restore, and reconnect with wellness in our life and community. To enhance connection, join us in the Zoom Connection Gathering Tribe on Wednesday evenings. The Zoom Connection Gathering Tribe is an easy and practical way for everyone to meet up, gather, and feel welcomed and accepted. To join us, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Then click on the podcast tab and the Zoom Connection Tribe tab. On that page, go to the Facebook page called the Connection Show Gathering Tribe and register to join our Facebook group. We post secure passwords each week in the group so you can log in safely. We meet on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1.5 hours with great topics, laughter, and connection. See you on Wednesday evenings. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.